Okay, we are recording. Okay, welcome. My name is Makinie Soverall. I'm one half of the behavioral health team.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hoaglin. I'm the other half of the behavioral health team. I also just wanted to make a quick announcement that we're gonna ask for questions, and you can either put them in the chat, or at the end we can just have a conversation about whatever questions you guys might
have. So we're going to be giving an overview of the behavioral health team and some of our services. And maybe what we can do is kind of start with participants. You'll have to unmute yourself first, but unmuting yourself and then kind of just doing a quick introduction, your name, and what you're hoping to learn today.
Hi. Oh, you can go, Ms. Staley.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. My name is Laura Staley, and I am the media librarian, and I'm here because I always pick up interesting care tips and information that may be of use to students. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ren Tarvin, CNT instructor. Core 1, I guess, Core 2, introductory for many of the students. So I'm here to make sure that I have all the tools I need for any of our newer students in the cohorts.
Well, I guess I can go. I'm Eunice Graham. I'm mostly an IBEST instructor, and I am just so thrilled that we have a behavioral health team, and I just want to know everything I can about it.
Hi, Makinie. Okay.
Oh, sorry about that, Brian.
Oh, that's okay. I'm Brian Thompson. I'm the Ford Asset instructor down here. And again, I'm excited that we have these services and know exactly, how we do referrals and those kind of things will be part of my questions. How do we point students in your direction?
Hello, everyone. Warren Takata, Automotive Program. Just here to get a better sense of services that are offered for our students. I'm hoping to better serve them. And also just thinking about how these services relate to how K-12 handles like IEP and support services for their students that would be similar to how we would handle them.
My name is Stephanie Robinson, and I'm just here to learn a little bit more about the topic.
Hi, my name is Melvin Hortman. I'm faculty in engineering design technology and mechanical engineering technology. And I'm really interested in learning more about the process of referrals. I've never been good with that, so.
I'm Gabriel Abbott. I'm the anesthesia technologist instructor. I'm just interested in learning about it.
Hi, Connie Berry-Smith here, Program Director of the Dental Assistant Program. Also just on board today to learn about these exciting new services at RTC. Thank you.
Simone Terrell. I want to learn more and be better in the classroom to advise students better.
Hi, I'm Kyra. I teach in CCP, College Success and Early Childhood, and I guess everyone else has expressed why I'm here as well, just to gather more resources that I could pass on to my students.
Looks like that might be mostly everyone. I guess participation is not like mandatory, so I think that's probably good. If anybody else has anything else they want to add, feel free, and then we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, well, if there are any additional introductions or questions, feel free to put it in the chat. We'll go ahead and get started. So Sarah and I are in the behavioral health team that was founded and created as of January this year by both of us. Let's go to the next slide. So we provide confidential, free and short-term counseling services as 8 to 12 sessions to current RTC students.
And so what that basically means is free and confidential. So students don't have to have insurance. There's no copay. There's no deductible. We are 100% free. Their fees pay for us to be on campus and to help them. And that's why the students need to be current students. And then confidential means that whatever they tell us is protected by HIPAA. So that's kind of like the next step. That's the medical version of FERPA. It means everything that they tell us is confidential, private. So kind of like what happens in our office stays in our office, sort of like a Vegas thing.
Mm-hmm. And we also provide referral services. So if there's something that's going to take more than 8 to 12 sessions, we don't turn any current students away. What we can do is work with them to get them long-term services. And we also collaborate with there's a community resource team on campus, an unofficial team on campus. So we coordinate with them as well. So things like homeless shelters or food resources, we coordinate with them and with LRCC. The other thing that we do that we don't often talk about is we can provide presentations, webinars, and workshops in your classroom. So if there's anything related to mental health, stress management, test anxiety, depression, coping skills, resilience, we can provide presentations on that to your students. And the other thing that we want you to know is that we are currently accepting referrals. So we'll get into what that looks like a little bit later. But we do want you to know we're accepting referrals and providing online counseling services at this time. And for students signing in, this is a screenshot of my dashboard, but for students signing in to Doxy, which is the HIPAA compliant portal that we use to do video counseling, it looks similar. The waiting room looks very similar to this. So they sign in, they see that they're, I'm waiting for them to come into the room, and then we start the session on time. Both Sarah and I have this application and use this with students.
So we also want to chat, we think this is a really great opportunity to talk to people about when and who to refer and maybe when not to refer. So if you have a student who is displaying any sort of like anxiety, depression, coping skills, you overhear them talking to another student about a life event that's happened, maybe a family member's passed, or they're dealing with COVID and they're stressed out, or they need additional resources, 100% you can schedule them to meet with us, and we'll show you how to do that in a second, or you can just refer them to us. We do really like when you tell them that you're going to refer them to us, because it is somewhat awkward to call a student and say, hi, your teacher told us that you wanted to talk to the therapist, and they're like, what? I don't want to talk to a therapist. So it kind of starts off on the wrong foot. You don't have to, though. That can be like a warm handoff. You can introduce them to us in a Zoom lobby, which we will also talk about something that we have, which is a Zoom lobby. Or we can introduce ourselves via the behavioral health email, that sort of thing. So it doesn't have to be just like you sending them to us and then not knowing if we've received your referral. But we're also happy to meet with students like right now. Like, I need this student to be spoken with right now. I'm really worried about the student. If they tell you that they're having thoughts of hurting themselves, or they're having thoughts of hurting someone else, or their behavior has changed drastically and it's like causing you a lot of concern. It's one of those things where you're like, wow, this is really weird. This student isn't normally like this. I'm super concerned for them. When you should not call us, or even call like campus safety, probably campus safety, I'm not sure, we'll have to figure that out. But if there's an active shooter, right, if the student is violent towards you or someone else in the class, which probably isn't gonna happen maybe this quarter, maybe for some of you who are on campus, if there's an immediate concern for safety, or if there's some sort of imminent threat. That is when you should 100% call 911. And you can always notify us of what's happened, but we will not be coming down to your classroom or the office if this is happening. We would call 911 as well.
The other thing you should know is Title IX. So Title IX is in the event of harassment or abuse of any kind, especially sexual abuse. Faculty and staff are mandated reporters. And if a student is coming to you, because so often students go directly to the teacher, that's who they trust. That's I want to tell you about something that happened. And it sounds like it's kind of leaning towards something that is Title IX. You want to tell them, okay, thank you so much for feeling comfortable to tell me this. I just want to let you know, you know, if you give me any of this information, I am a mandated reporter. But there are 2 staff members on campus who are not. And so the behavioral health team, both of us are licensed.
It sounds like we might be having some technical difficulty. I can't hear you, Makinie.
How about now?
There we go.
Oh, hey, was that the whole thing?
It was probably like right at the part where you started with where the conversation with the instructor would start.
Okay, yeah, I see a lot of people saying can't hear. Okay, wow, so I was like just gesticulating silently. I'll start this piece over. Title IX, so that's a federal regulation that if a student mentions anything having to do with abuse of any kind, so physical, emotional, sexual, it does have to be reported to the Title IX coordinator. The only exception is Sarah and I, because we are licensed mental health counselors or licensed marriage and family therapists on campus. So if a student comes to you and they are telling you, we're starting to tell you that something has happened that sounds like it's going to be in the category of Title IX, you do want to stop them and thank them for trusting you and wanting to confide in you, as so often students feel comfortable with you. And let them know that they have the option of disclosing this information confidentially, with confidentiality to licensed counselors who are not part of Title IX. And you also want to let them know that if they disclose the information to you, that you have to report it to the Title IX.
And in case you're wondering, our Title IX person is Leslie Hogan. So if a student comes to you and says something along the lines of anything like this, you are required to go to Leslie and tell her what the student told you. Exactly like Makinie said, we are the only 2 people on campus who aren't required to do that, and it's because of our marriage and family therapist licenses, because therapists are not required to do this. So if this is something that you are just learning about or just finding out about being a mandated reporter, there's tons of information about it. Makinie and I would be happy to talk to you about it individually, or you can always talk to Leslie Hogan. But we just want to make sure that the student has the right to privacy, so that if they disclose it to you, then you also have to tell them that you have to tell someone. And so that, you know, for us, we're trying to stand up for the person who is brave enough to come say something to someone. We want to make sure that only the people they want to talk to are being informed, because unfortunately, once one of the instructors find out, they are required to go tell Leslie, and that's probably not giving the student the privacy that they deserve.
Right. So a lot of this information is on our webpage, our RTC webpage. So that's www.rtc.edu/behavioral-health. It has information on our contact information, when to refer. It has the Title IX sort of disclaimer piece. and when not to refer. And the other piece, which isn't included in this presentation, is we also have a link over to the left of the page of community resources. So if there's anything that we can't provide, that you know, anything having to do with like parenting skills classes or homeless shelters, LGBTQ resources, we have that in the community resources page as well. Oh, one more thing. Okay, so when you are referring a student to us, if you don't want to fill out the form, which we'll get into a little bit later, please email us at behavioralhealth@rtc.edu. That email goes directly to both of us, so we both see it. So in the event that one of us is out of the office on vacation or sick, the other one can respond in a timely manner. So we do prefer, and you can use the phone number of 425-235-5759 as well, but email is probably fastest. And we also have the form, which we'll go into a little bit later. And I see someone in the chat. So Laura asked regarding, I think this is Title IX, does it cover only things that happen on campus or things that happen to students at home too? I believe, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is mostly having to do with either a school activity or on campus. And we don't have campus housing, but under this regulation, I believe campus housing is covered as well.
I think it would be if it was another, like if it was 2 students from campus, then it's like a whole other thing too. So my comment in the chat was, it's complicated. So.
Yes. Yes. And we can pull that information after and talk to you about it.
Yep.
Okay, so going back really quick, so that next page that we're about to see is after you click on this link here that says need help, fill out the behavioral health form. When we say need help, we're not asking the faculty if you need help. This is for students who are looking, but faculty will click this as well if you want to make a referral. So as you can see, you have the option of you can sit with the student and fill this information, or you don't have to necessarily be with the student, but have the student's permission to fill this information out. Or give this link to the student for them to fill out for themselves. And Sarah actually created this form, which is great.
Yeah, so it's a pretty basic form. It just kind of goes through all the concerns. We really wanted to give students and staff and faculty this option because it can provide everything that you might want to say in an email with just some buttons to click instead of having to type everything out. I don't know about you guys, but not that I ever send emails for work on my phone, but when I do that, it's always easier to have a button to click instead of having to type everything out on my phone. So, and students can use this, and it comes straight to our behavioral health email. So it's really easy. We respond within 24 hours if we get an email. So, and then also you guys know that it worked.
Yeah,
because it goes through.
And some of the questions will include things like, you know, have there been mood changes? You know, how are you generally feeling? And we do include some questions about racial trauma as well. So, you know, have you been affected by racism? Does race impact your life in any way? For those considerations. And at the end, it asks about the best time to be reached and then what days work best, so we can kind of figure out who's the most appropriate referral for the student. Okay, so I know a lot of you are curious about what happens after you make the referral. So I will just read this outright. Privacy refers to the right of an individual to keep his or her health information private. Confidentiality refers to the duty of anyone entrusted with health information to keep that information private. So we provide services under the RCW, so that's Washington State Code, under HIPAA, that is the Health Information Portability Act. And so we can't release any information unless the student signs a release. The most that we can do is acknowledge that you have sent us something. So we're not trying to be rude. If we're not responding to you like, you know, can you please talk to this student? The most we will say is thank you, and that's not to be rude, it's to protect the student's information.
And we are just thanking you for the referrals. So, and also once you have referred a student to us, we will reach out ad nauseum, right? So and student services, there's a text system. So we will send the student an email. We will call them. We will try to figure out how to reach them on Canvas. Like maybe we'll sneak into your Canvas class and send them a notice that way. We will text them. We will do all the things. So if you have sent us a referral, we have 100% reached out to the student probably 4 or 5 times until they call us back and either tell us to leave them alone or that they schedule an appointment with us. So.
Right, and I think it may be also helpful to understand that sometimes people say that they're ready for something and they're not quite ready. They might still be in the contemplation phase, so they might say, yes, I want a counselor, fill out the form. We call them and then they either don't call us back or they tell us, I'm not ready yet. And I would just say, please be patient with them. If they come back to you with the exact same issue, re-refer them to us. We will take the referral as many times. We're not turning anybody away at any point.
We also have an amazing midday break with counselors, so that's us, in the Zoom lobbies. And so, and we were also planning on having this when we get back to campus, but for now it's in Zoom. So every Wednesday from 11 to noon, we are in a Zoom lobby. We have different themes and different presentations and information that we're presenting or providing to students, or we're just, sometimes we've had just an open chat with a question and you know, giving people an opportunity to vent or discuss things or talk about concerns. And we really try to read what is going on with students so that we can provide them with what they need. So it's on our homepage, on our website. If you just click on our webpage, it's there, and you can just click the start there. It's also on the Zoom lobbies page. So if you, I think it's rtc.edu/zoom-lobby.
Yes.
And that shows all the different Zoom lobbies. So you guys may not know this, but advising has one 8 times a week. Advising with financial aid is available for students. And then like worker retraining, disability resource services. There's a ton of them. I think there's 8 or 9 different ones. So check that out if you're not sure of those resources. But we are one of those lobby sessions. Yes, the library does have one, and it is great. We have been to it. I think the thing that's important also to note is that Makinie runs all of our social media, and on our Instagram page, Makinie is always posting like what we're going to be doing in our Zoom lobby for the next week. And so she has sent out a list and also a reminder of like what we'll be presenting. So if you're interested, you can follow us on Instagram. Not that I'm trying to elicit followers, but you can do that. If you're interested in finding out what we're doing, you can follow us that way, or you can always just ask us too.
And I want to go back to something Sarah mentioned earlier, which is if you're with a student, you want to do a warm handoff, you can join the Zoom lobby with them to make that referral. Just be like, I want to introduce you to the student, and then you kind of leave and we'll talk to them and schedule something with them. So that's another option, as opposed to maybe calling us on the phone afterwards or emailing us afterwards. You can just join the Zoom lobby with them and introduce them to us.
It also might be a great opportunity for extra credit for students. I'm just throwing it out there to force them to come, and then we can give them like some sort of weird password that they have to bring back to you. We can work it out individually, but then it forces them to attend, right? And so then they can see that it's an amazing thing and not have to be weird or weirded out or like ashamed that they're going to the counseling Zoom lobby because, you know, nobody we know needs therapy, obviously. So just a resource. You don't have to have a diagnosis. We're just here to help. Like whatever students need, we're here for.
And as Sarah mentioned, we do have Instagram page. We have a few different social media, which we'll talk about later. But this is just an example of, you know, an upcoming topic that you will see if you follow the page or just check it out. And that is RTC_behavior_health. The other thing we do is some of these videos, including the one being recorded today, get uploaded to YouTube with closed caption. And there are various examples of different things that we could provide. So you'll see short workshop videos on coping skills. There's a video where we talk a little bit more about Title IX. We did a presentation for LRCC called VAR, Validate, Appreciate, and Refer. So if you're interested in finding out, what the presentation might look like, you can check out our YouTube page and watch some of those videos. You don't have to watch all of them, but if there's any topic in particular, you're like, oh, what does this look like in the classroom? That's an example.
And exactly like Makinie said, we're happy to come and provide any of these to you or something else. Like, I know that we work a lot with the allied health departments because their students need to know the VAR type of things, so the validate, appreciate, and refer type things. And then also that we have a resiliency and coping skills presentation that we provide, that we have provided, I think, since our first quarter here, to an allied health classroom. So depending on what your students are going to do, and depending on, I guess, how they're doing, right, we would be happy to come provide this presentation, or any of these presentations. Most of them are about an hour because we have a lot of student interaction. But if you want us to just provide 10 minutes of, hey, we're behavioral health, come check us out, or hey, what kind of coping skills are you planning on using this quarter? How are things going? Whatever it is, we can customize it to your time frame and your requirements.
Right. And you can send that request right to our behavioral health email, and we usually respond within a day or so.
And I'm just going to put that email in the chat right now so people can see it.
Thank you. And this slide just kind of reiterates what Sarah was saying, is that we can do various kinds of workshops and classroom visits. And these are just some of the topics that we have already covered in the visits or workshops that we've done.
And if you have other things, challenge us. We would love to provide something unique, specific to your classroom.
And this page covers all the social media that we currently have. So we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and we do also have a TikTok page. And part of that is that we are trying to cover a wide range of audiences. So there are different age ranges for each of these. So yeah. And again, we are the behavioral health team. We provide confidential and free short-term counseling to current students. Our webpage is rtc.edu/behavioral-health. And we can also provide presentations, webinars, and workshops.
So our presentation is actually pretty short. If you guys are interested in, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to look at some of the videos or that sort of thing, feel free. Now's the time for us. You guys have therapists on the line, right?
I think I just wanted to be certain. I think I heard you guys say that you, was it previous students as well, or is it current students only?
It's current students. So something that has happened is a student gets referred to us. They're talking about being on the fence about dropping classes. So they get referred to us. We start a couple sessions while they're a current student, and then they drop. We don't just stop working with them. What we do is we switch to the referral process. So we'll work with them until they are referred to long-term counseling.
Okay, that's awesome.
Good question.
It looks like in the chat, Brian is asking if there's a PowerPoint we can present to students on the first day. What type of presentation would you like? We can make something for you. If you just want our information, we can give you a slide. We have a really short video you can embed in your Canvas. Let us know what you need. We can make it for you.
Yeah, working live. I'm going to have students coming in person. And it's a good thing that, to start out with, especially the stress and